Hi, this is Stold. Welcome. And today's tip video, I wanted to go over some concepts around how to improve a deck maybe that I've made or some other YouTubers made, and you're trying to use that deck, and you're not getting good win rates out of the deck. And so there's a number of factors that goes into if a deck's going to work for one person or another person. One of the factors is your play style. So, like a certain deck might not work for you, be it, just based on your play style. If you're, more of an aggressive player, a control deck probably not going to work for you that well as it does for some other people. Or if you're like a slower, more, like don't want to sacrifice your creatures. Like I know for myself, I hate to discard cards from my hand. And so, any type of deck that does that for me, it's very difficult because I don't know, I can't choose which one to discard because I feel like I'm putting cards in that are really good and I want to use all the cards. So it's, that's a really difficult decision for me. So it's kind of trying to figure out what's working for you as far as the deck and if it fits like your play style. So I was making this deck for Valentine's Day, the Tie the Knot deck, and I played a few games. I think I went like 2 and 3 or something, and I started seeing a lot of Packle, Boros type decks, red white, where they have a lot of tokens. And I was like, oh man, there's a hole in this deck for that. Other things you might be playing, because I play a lot of janky decks, so the matchmaker is going to match me up against different opponents than that you're getting matched up against, especially when you're playing on ranked. I always try to My goal for my decks is to try to get at least above a 50% win rate, or right around 50% when I make a deck for you guys. So that way, I know it's at least on par with the ranked competition type of thing. So as I'm going through, I might be like, oh man, I'm seeing a lot of Packle decks, so I'm gonna be looking for cards that I need to sweep the board. So something like Vampire's Vengeance, I'm thinking about adding in to this deck, as opposed to the what's based there. And I think I want a couple of those, so then I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get rid of these two cards. And if you're seeing a lot of Sheldred's type of situation. So you might, want, you might even go up to 4 Witchstalker's Frenzies, but this is a card to remove Sheldred from the board. It also works good, against Trample and, Menace creatures. So if they double block your creatures, you can take one of them out, save your creature perhaps from dying type of situation. Same thing with the Vengeance. You could use that when Packle swings in, creates all those bunch of 1/1 tokens. You could just sweep all those tokens, and so you're preserving your life total. It's pretty important. And then it's just trying to figure out what you want to get rid of. So if I put the Vampire's Vengeance in, some of the cards that are kind of weak against that on your own part, where they have 2 toughness creatures that you have, are these cards. So you might think about, well, maybe I'll go one less Brawler because, it's going to get killed from the Vengeance if it doesn't have the rope attached to it, to give it a defensive buff. So hopefully we're having some creatures out there that are going to survive. The Ruiner, I guess, is also another card as well. That's part of that type of thing. So you want to be careful and cognizant. And this is also a 2/2, and Kellen's a 2/2 as well. So this could hurt you pretty good, but it also gives you the ability to save your life, and maybe you're going to lose some creatures. So it's not quite the best synergies that we're looking for, but I just wanted to go over like a few ideas about how you modify a deck, type of thing based on the competition that you're seeing on the ladder, or just in regular, in general. Maybe you're drawing too many ropes and you're not able to equip them onto creatures, so you might like drop that down one to allow these cards to fit in. We've talked in the past about the mana curve and the amount of lands, so you might even look at that. Maybe I can go down to 21 lands based on the curve. So this is our these 3 drops, and this is a 3 drop, and that's a 3 drop. So these are our most expensive spells, so we just need 3 lands. Let me pull that up. So I've showed this in my lands video, why 24 lands. And so just to recap this idea. So this is the amount of cards that you've drawn, and these are the amounts of lands, and the percentage that you'll have. So at 24 cards, in your starting hand, there's a 98% chance that you'll have one land, 91 that you'll have two on turn 2. So you draw your next card, so now you have 8 cards that you've drawn, and you're hoping to have 2 lands. So, on curve, based on curve with 24 lands, when you get to, your 7th card drawn, or 6th card drawn, when you could play your 7th land, you have a 20% chance of actually having 7 lands out. So, obviously if you're playing a higher deck, but when you're going to a lower deck, so right now we're at 21 or 22, so you're looking at that, and our curve is 3, so that we're looking at 68% chance if we go down to 21, a 64 if we go down to 20. So there is some wiggle room there based on this current deck. So based on this current deck, we could probably go down to 21 or 20 even, just to get that percentage, to be fine with that percentage. So that's a way you can sneak out cards. And, I've talked in the past about, how to make sure you have the right amount of mana. So you basically want half of that. So you want 10 mountains, 8 forests, and about 5 plains in the deck. And the way I usually calculate that, I look at, this is a green-white, this is all the colors, and this is a green-red. So, for green-red, you got 2, 4, and here's another green-red, and here's a green-white. So, right there I got 4, 5 green-reds. So, if you're looking for 10, so you just need 5 more mountains. So I would go ahead and do that. And then, for the green, it's the same way. You got 5 and 10, right? We're actually looking for 8. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got 8 forests, and then we're looking at 5 plains. So we have, 2, 4, 5 plains. So this should be, 0. I'm not going to put it down to 0. I'm going to put it to 1. And I'm just going to pump these up 1 because we added in a plane. So we have 1 extra planes based on the, the amount we actually need. So I pumped up these other 2 because we actually added a plane. So we're going to add a mountain and add a forest. And then now we're at 19 lands. So we can add in, 1 of each to put us back up to the 22. So that's just a way to, make sure you have the right colors of mana in the deck. And then, if we're looking to cut it down, I would prioritize, the one that you have the most of. So if we're going to cut a land, we're either going to cut a plains or we're going to cut a forest, right? And so another way I would look at that is, do we need 2 plains or 2 forests? It doesn't look like we have anything that's dual, so we're pretty even on that. So we could probably go down 1 on the plains. You could pick either plains or forests. I would want to keep prioritization on the red mana. And since we have a lot of, when you start looking at that, you have a lot of, you have 4 green and red cards and 3 green or white and red cards. So we want, more green and red over the plains. So I would prioritize that. So that's just a way that you can look at the mana curve. I'm going to go ahead and put that back up 1. And so, so that would be one way, or at least a couple ways to kind of think about it. And like I said, if you're playing and you're seeing a lot of Sheldreds in your matches, maybe you go up before Witchstalker's Frenzy. But just we want to know that this card is in the deck to kill Sheldred. So if you're playing against a black deck, you don't necessarily just whip it out and kill a creature right away. You're using it to kill Sheldred or some other creature that's causing you problems. Or if you're playing like a Boros aggro deck, you're not going to just wipe the board before they get Packle out or some other card. You're going to kind of save it and utilize it. Or maybe if you're seeing a lot of them, maybe you want 4 of those type of thing. This deck, it's not really great to have that since we have so many cards that are susceptible to getting killed by our own spell, and we want to try to avoid that if possible. But at the same time, if you're going to take 10 damage from attackers and you're going to lose 2 creatures, then it's probably good to prevent that damage and wipe the board type of situation. So that's just kind of my thoughts on ways to help the deck to craft it around your play style and also the competition that you're actually seeing, on the ladder type of situation. So I hope this is helpful to you. And, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them. But that's kind of the idea behind the Monday tip videos, is we want to slow down a little bit, kind of look at some concepts that you don't necessarily think about when you're just like make a deck, play the deck type of situation. But like Magic is there's so many cards and so many different variables, and it's really hard to craft one deck that's going to rule them all. And that's why that's the fun part of Magic, is trying to figure out what works for you, what works against the competition that you're seeing, and all those factors. So I try to vocalize my thoughts that I'm having in game, and I'm still working on trying to get better with that, and try to give some the ideas behind my thoughts of why I'm doing certain situations. So I'll continue to try to improve that and try to vocalize that. My brain works pretty good, but the words don't necessarily come out of the brain as they need to. So I hope you find this helpful, and this has been Told, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.